Okay. I'd like to pick up, 1 second. I'd like to pick up the mitzvah Reish Mem Hey, mitzvah Chomesh V'Arboim U'Masayim. He HaTorah Shehoreinu B'dim Mekol Memkol. We started this, but I really want to do it from the top. Horeinu, in here, it's in a few times that it's actually translated properly. And everyone seems to translate that as a very odd thing because it's the same sharana that you find all over the place. And most times the matargumim are not machalik between Amar and sharana, and which is the major difference, whether it's just a din or there's a actual tzivui, and Minchas Chinuch claims there's nafkamina if there's a kiyum or not. Okay. Bedin mekrumemka. So it's about mekach umemka, I assume buying and selling. In Ibn Eov, it says bederech mekach umemka, so I'm not sure exactly what happened, because in the Judeo-Arabic, which we have, it says bedin, unless he had something different. Loitzaloima, which the derech makes sense because the mitzvah is the ponim, those modus operandi that you use to make a kinyan. Loitzaloima aponim asher bom yiskayim hamecher bein hamoicha v'hakoina. This is the way to make sure there's a deal which is sealed, which you can't change your mind, between the moicha and the koina, the buyer and seller. Now, l'cheira, what this means, it's I think the best way to explain this is more so in the negative, and using the Ram, the beginning of Hilchos Mechira, because the Ram starts out Hilchos Mechira in the negative sense, not telling you anything, but telling you something, negating something, and the it's negating that you can't make a mecher by just speaking and say, I want to sell something to the buyer and the seller here. The buyer says, I want to buy, and the seller says, I want to sell, and they're very explicit in what they want to do. And they say to aid them in front of them, it's all gibber, it's all worthless, pil pulish hevel, because there's no ma'aser kinyan. And that's what it's loyma ponim asher by miskay mamecha. You need a ma'aser kinyan. You need some type of kinyan. And dib alone is not enough. And that's how the Ram starts. Now, this mekru memka is a mitzvah minyan, and it's a shrana, as we said. And because there is a discussion about mekru memka and Torah B'Ksav, and it works with the general categories that we had in our forest Nedorim, in Aseh Tzadihei, where the Torah talks in Torah B'Ksav, and there might be Torah B'Al and soon the Torah B'Al also. And the din itself, even though there's no obligation to do it, is a mitzvah. This mitzvah is learned from the posik v'chisimku mem kalamisecha, and the Rambam also uses this as the source of the mitzvah in the Mina Mitzvah Kotza. Now, The interesting thing is, if you look at the posik, which is the makor of the mitzvah, it's telling you a story. V'chisimku memko la misecha, kolam miyana misecha. The posik is coming to teach you that Isa no, that when you have when you buy or sell, there is a possibility of an aveir upon no loisanu ishazoch. And a priori, looking at the parsha, there's no mitzvah mekro memka. It's just the time that one can violate the law of oino. And it's an amazing thing from a posik v'chi, which is just, at this time, there is a law of oino, you can extrapolate from that a mitzvah. But the interesting thing is the Ramban doesn't disagree with this, and it doesn't take it out of mitzvahs, and neither does the chinuch. This, I'm not trying to tell you and answer something. I'm just pointing out a similar phenomenon. There is a mitzvah of halva to an oni. And you find a similar thing. The Torah says, im kesef talves ami, and when it's discussing im kesef talves ami, it says is an isa ribis. So you would have said that there's no mitzvah of halva, there's no tzibur in the pasuk, and the only reason why you might say it's a mitzvah is another mitzvah that comes and tells you it's not rishus, but it's a chayva. V'havei tavitenu. And that's the Ram says, minyan HaKotzer, and I say, kuf tzadi zayin, lahavos la'oni, shenem im keser talves ami, yes, only v'chulei, im, in quotation marks, or italics, whatever you like, ze eino rishus, el mitzvah. Shenema have tavitenu. So the Ram says it's not a rishus mitzvah. And then they continue. Here, you come out with the same type of thing, the paradigm which he's using halva, but you don't have the pasuk, and it's a shrana, and it's a story, and somehow became a mitzvah. And however, if you use the modus operandi of kinyonim, whatever they are, there's no kiyum because only shrana. So the normal paradigm of shrana is that there's a parsha in the Torah which deals with this topic, like hafos nedolim, or each type of tumor, as Ram says in Mitzvas Aseh, Tzadihei, Omnom, heyois habal v'ov meifirin in a kvar beir hakosu v'isoi v'don boy. So, there's a phenomenon which the Torah deals with that tells you dinim. Here, there seems to be no phenomenon which the dinim are discussed. All that you have over here, if I may say, is a Torah telling you story as a background, the backdrop for the Isai no. So, since that's the case, it's a difficult thing. So Godel, how could Ram moine mitzmak mekro memke minyan mitzvos? So that's the starting point here. He ater sheshilnu בממכר וממכר, goitzaloima haponim asher bom yiskayim hamecher. Okay. Bein hamoicha v'akoine. Then the Ram continues, just one second. And ukvar lok choraya al eil haponim. And here becomes, until now it was difficult, but now we're going. It's just the layers are being added instead of being subtracted. You'll see. Mukvar lokhu achum chazal. They in the indefinite pronoun raya, they brought a proof al eila haponim on these methods of kinyan, whatever it is. Me omroi in the pasuk in Vayikra v'chisimku memko la misecha v'goyme. So this doesn't tell you anything, and l'chayr this is the source of the mitzvah, but it on one hand it's a source of the mitzvah, but it's an introduction to a discussion about this pasuk. Very interesting thing that he does. V'kvar lo choraya al eila haponim me omroi v'chisimku memko la misecha. Omru Chazal in Bava Metzia Mem Zayin Beis Tova Nikne Miyad Liyad. So you're learning Bava Metzia and Azov, and you look at the way Shlokas is Maima that Mashiach Mufreshim Natera Tova Nikne Miyad Liyad Koima Mashiach. So then you this is what Ram's quoting here. He's quoting Reish Lakish that Dova Nikne Miyad Liyad Mashiach. Then he does the most uncanny thing that you could imagine. So l'chayra, what he's trying to prove, that the Torah is not just telling you a story, it's telling you there must be some clear way of being clean. So then you say, oh, it's not a story. This is the Torah is telling you a din, and then you count them in your mitzvahs. So the Ram says that and immediately negates it. Ukva his ames, in the same place in Bomitzia Memzayin Beis, that this is not correct. We don't pass in Reish Lakish. The truth is not Reish Lakish. Ukva his ames, shedva teira mos konis, and the mos konis, that's in the original Arab, in the Judeo-Arabic. Dva teira mos konis. Ushia Mashiach b'metaltalin he takonis acham v'chein hamesira v'agbo. So this is, I can't imagine something so odd as this. He's trying to bring a raya l'chera that the Simku Memkum Yan Bisecha is not a story, but it's something. It's a mitzvah because they clear dinim. It's not a story because you have to do a kiyum mashicha. So when you have Reish Lakish, you're on the highway. So he says, no. I'm quoting Reish Lakish to show you it's a mitzvah, but you should know we don't pass Reish Lakish. We pass Rabbi Yechanan. So you're back to first base, or not even first base. We don't know what happened over. So this is the quagmire that we're in. Not only, a priori that the Chisimku Memko is a story, and there's no other place in the Torah where it says the Chayiv, unlike in the story of Kesef Talvas Ami. And then the Rambam is bothered by the question. He says, yeah, they're dinim, and he quotes Reish Lakish and says, we don't pass the Reish Lakish, we pass the Rabbi Yechanan. So the question is, we have no clue. We don't know what we're talking about. So this is the backdrop of what we're trying to do this evening. So these are the kashas. Question number one. Since the Ram's quoting Reish Lakish as the source of the mitzvah, and he says the halacha is not like Reish Lakish, since we don't pass like Reish Lakish, how can you quote this? How can you quote Reish Lakish's source as the makor for our mitzvah? Don't make no sense. Second question. After we pasking like Rabbi Yochanan, a priori, there's no pasuk in the Torah that you can learn the mitzvah memka, because simko memka misecha is a story, and we have no clue of that you need most kindness. So you're not in any bad shape than you were before. It's a story, and the story is not a mitzvah. So this is where we're standing. It sounds almost like Echmo Chekimimeni. So the approach over here is that according to the Ramban, you have a clear option of how to work. Chedushi Ramban, Baba Metzia, Mem Zayin Beis, Dibo Hamascho, Tvateo Mos Kainis. So he says like this: Ika Mashmuuse Dekro, the main interpretation or the implication, what you can imply from this pasuk, which pasuk, the chisimku memko la misecho or economy on misecho, bekesev hu dichsiv. He says the pasuk is talking about kinyan kesef, kinyan mos, o kono v'derech kniya bekesef, because there's an economy on misecha, and what is the normal kinyan? It's kesef. Vahainu, the law I'm reading hocha. Now it's an amazing thing when you're learning about Mitzvah and Hazov. This is an amazing diuk, it says, because the Gemara asks, "My time in the Reish Lakish," and does not ask my time in the Rabbi Yochanan. Vahainu, the law I'm reading hocha. My time in the Rabbi Yochanan can read my time in the Reish Lakish. Mishum the Rabbi Yochanan stam kinyan b'mos koma. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, once you have a pasuk simku memka misecha, you interpret it, it's mos, unless you have the opinion of Reish Lakish. What it comes out then, according to Ramban, you learn out the kinyan mos, the efficacy of the kinyan mos from the pasuk in the Torah. So it's not only a story. However, Reish Lakish learns that the kinyan deraisa is Mashiach, and he learns it from Miyad Amisecha. Rabbi Yochanan says no, that there's no mashmos from Kona Miyad. It only comes to tell you that the Isa no is not on Kalka. And you also learn out that there's an Isa no on the Koina, not only in the Moicha. Miyad, Kona, Miyad, and Kona. So basically, then, both according to Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, we have a source of this mitzvah. So the Rambam quotes the pasuk of Reish Lakish that we learn Darkei Kniya from this pasuk, and that the pasuk is not a story. And Rabbi Yochanan is also agrees that this pasuk is the source of the mitzvah. The Rambam brings Reish Lakish because he is the only one that says beferish that the pasuk is simko memko is the makor for Darkei Kinyan, and makor for the mitzvah. And after he quotes the pasuk as makor the mitzvah, you can say it's also that he's saying that even according to Rabbi Yochanan, who we paskin like, also learns Darkei Kinyan from this pasuk. But his Kinyan is Stam Kinyan, which is Kinyan Mos, and not Mashiach. So I think we're in better shape than we were before. Okay. Now, just to be honest, there are many Rishonim that disagree with the Ramban, and they learn the Kinyan Kesef from other sources. The on the Rif, Rabbi Nachnano learned that it's a Kal V'chomer. Excuse me, the Ran. Sorry, I meant the Ramban there in Bab Metzir says that the Rif and Rabbi Nachnano learn the Kinyan Mos from a Kal V'chomer Mekesef that's clean and evident. So if you do that, you understand that the source of the mitzvah is not V'chisimku Memka, and it's only a Kal V'chomer. The question is, and how you work with the Shoshim, can you actually make a mitzvah for that? That's not going to be helpful for us. Rashi learns that you learn the Kinyan Kesef from the fact that Kesef is clean behektish. Also not a great source for a mitzvah. And the has nothing to do with Chisim Kumem Kumyan Misech. So the best approach is to assume the Rambam learns like the Ramban, which is a reasonable approach, and that's it. But we're not out of the woods yet. The question is, good, we have a posik, and we have a derech kinyan called kesef, or mimos. So the question is, what is this mitzvah? So l'cheira, there is the mitzvah is that there are certain modus operandi to do a kinyan by metaltalin, and mos is kind of a chol metaltalin, and kalkoyos we'll see that also chazaka is also kind of. And then the reason why the Rambam is marich and tell you all kinyoni derabbanan is to tell you the mitzvah is only the kinyoni deraisa. The kinyoni derabbanan not b'chal mitzvah. And Mitzvah Hashem will talk about the Kinyonic Kalka as we continue. So then, the Rambam is very simple because he says that the mitzvah is Haponim Asher Bom Yiskayim Amecher. So it means these Maisa Kinyonim, these modus operandi from transferring ownership from buyer to from seller to buyer, that's the mitzvah. Okay. Now, whether it's ponim is the main word over here, which is a little bit odd, and I would assume that both Ibn Iyov and Kapach have the same type of thing. 1 second. No, I'm sorry. Both Ibn Iyov and Ibn Tibin say aponim. Okay. However, Kapach says haderech, and that I think is much clearer for us. I guess ponim is the same things. Okay. I'm just confused here. And this is in the Arabic. I just tell you something. I don't understand it, but I just point it out to you for just honesty. I don't understand how this happened and why this happened. See, since the Rambam is going to talk about various modus operandi, he's going to talk about metaltal, he's going to talk about kakois, you would have assumed that this loitzaloima aponim should be in the plural because there's more than one method to transfer ownership. The problem is, in the original Arabic, later on, he uses the word in the plural, but right here, he's using it in the singular. Which is odd. Maybe I would suggest the following. I'm just saying, just to you see, when you interpret in the pasuk Yisimku Memkom Misecho, which in Pashtus is referring to only metaltalin, then really you're only talking about one approach. Later on, we're going to add things, but at the moment when he's bringing al and then the faloch ela upon him, that's kapach and ibn Tibin and Ibn Iyov, but kapach also there kloima haderech shebo miskayim mekach ben amochim bakoinim. So this is in the singular because the kinyan metaltalin, once we pass Rabbi Yochanan, is singular. And it's not haponim, it's aderech asher bo misyiskayim amecha. So maybe it's good. This is interesting and something to think about. Okay, now let's go on. Now, let's now focus on these words over here and the Mitzvah. I think now, the truth is, when I first started this again and again and again, I was just completely baffled by the cryptic way the Ram is presenting this to us. Omru, he quotes about Mitzvah, Dover hanikne miad liad. Kloima ha-meshicha. Dover hanikne miad miad is meshicha, from hand to hand. The Rambam in Pirush Mishnayos explains these words. That's why I've just Dover hanikne miyad liyad. So the Rambam in Pirush Mishnah Kedushin, Perik Aleph, Mishnah Hey, writes the following: Kloima, Dover she'efsha litatnoi, that which you can hand over to another individual, lo yiskayim kinyonoi ela b'nesinos miyad liyad. If you can give it from one person to another, the only way you can do a kinyan is giving it to the other person. This is the way the Mechona Ma'or is metagim. I think that's Korach, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And then Usha Mashicha, he takonis betaltalin, he takonis ukvais ames jidvater most koines. We passing Rabbi Yochanan. I'm wondering, Rambam, just something to think about. You see, if you recall, the Rambam in Sherish Bays says the mitzvahs are in Torah Shebiksav, or you give me this is nothing, or Pirush Makubal. And if it says Oraisa or Draisa or Yisum Dvar Teira, L'chera, it's either telling you that this is Pshat and Pasuk or there's a Pirush Makubal. But maybe the word Dvar Teira is very important over here, and would take us that it's not only that according to Reish Lakish, but according to Rabbi Yochanan, there is a shroshim in the pasuk for the kinyan moles, whether it's because of stam kinyan is moles or because of pirush makubal or whatever it is. Rabbi Yochanan said dvater moles calls the Ramban only opts to say that it's stam kinyan is moles because the Gemara they only asked my time in the Reish Lakish, didn't ask my time in Rabbi Yochanan. Whatever it is, the Rambam has a good proof that to work in this fashion, that kvais ames shedvar teira mos koines, so maybe okay. But l'chayra, you need more than that. But you have to say dvar teira. You have to have some pasuk to hang it on, and the assumption is that the Rambam will use this pasuk. Otherwise, quoting it doesn't make any sense. Shemashicha metatlin he takonis achom. So v'chein hamesira v'agbo. So there basically is only one way. V'atera mos kainis meshicha mesira agbo is only takonis achom. The Rambam seems to equate Mashiach, Hagbor, and Metzira, and maybe it's all one takana. And Mishnah Torah, and it was Mechira, Per Gimel, Aleph, Gimel, and Dalit, Chacham Tiknu, Shaloi Yiknu, Hametaltlin, Ela Bagbo, over Mashiach, Dova Shein Bako, Lagbia, Vachule, Asvina, Hol Viefshel Lagbia, Viesh B'Mashiachos Torah Godol, V'Ein Nimsheches El Rabim, Lo Yitzichu Mashiach El Nikas Mesira. Aval Pish Chule, Av Pish Nosen Kodom, Yochol Lachzeboy, V'Chein HaMoiche, Yochol Lachzeboy, Ad Sheagbia O Yimshach, Dova Shein Boy Agbo, O Yimsa Dova. In other words, there's Mashiach, and it depends on Dalkai. Okay, so the Ram is saying all these things are the Rabban. Over Bei Omu, is another guy. Bei Omu, Meshicha Belekuch Beloichim, Geshe, excuse me, Kederech, Bei Omu, the Gemara Baba Kama Ayin Testament Aleph, Kederech, Shetiknu Meshicha Beloichim, just like they were Mesakin Meshicha by a Moichen Lekeach, Kach Tiknu Meshicha B'Shoimim. So you understand yourself, we're not interested in Mashiach and Shoimim over here, but we're interested in that it's another proof that we paskin like Rabbi Yochanan, not like Reish Lakish, and that Mashiach is a takona by Luk Loichim. Keshem shetiknu Mashiach b'Loichim, that's all we really need. Hine is boylecho sheyoysim atzricha Mashiach b'memkorim, in transactions between Moich and Lokeach, B'minei shehi takona, como she's born Mekoima. That's not the mitzvah. V'ulam shar aponim. Now here already is plural. And this kapach is shar hadrochim. And this here is plural, because when you come to kinyon and kalka, it's already the plural. But originally, the mitzvah is where the pasuk is talking with simku memko, where it's talking about kinyon and metaltalin, and we're talking about kinyon moles. Okay, next. So we're in good shape, I think. Now, just a side point. I heard the Rav say this once, and I remember the Shiur. They used to say that even though we paskin Vatos most corners in Misakin Meshicha, it doesn't mean that they were vato the king Meshicha. I mean, it doesn't mean they were vato the king Mos. The king Mos is Chayvekayim. What does it mean? Labai says you can be chayzer. It sounds nuts. You can be chayzer until you do Meshicha. So what does it mean they were mavato? They said, the Rav said like this, they said there's a possibility of Chazorah. To Rishus Lachzabot. But if you were not Chayzer before the Mashiach, after Mashiach, you lose your Rishus Lachzaboy. Then you will claim it because of the moles, not because of the Mashiach. The Kenyan is Chala Mafreya, Mishas Asinus Amos. And what's the Nafkamina? The Nafkamina is a Zar that buys the pole from a Kohen, the King Kesef. So if basically the Kohen owns it until the Mashiach, so then you can feed a Kashin Truma. If not, if the Kenyan is Chal with the moles, then it's a Kenyan Kasboy of a Zar, and it can't eat Kashin Truma. The Ramenichus Trumos. Hilchus Trumos. Perek Hey. No, excuse me, Perek Tes Halacha Yud. You only She'im Mochar HaKoyin Polasa Yisrael V'lokach Hadomim Af Al Pi Shadayin Loi Moshach HaLokeach Harei Oso Lachila Truma. And you know what the reason is? The Cham says an amazing thing. Shedin Teira Mos Kainos Kmo Sheizboye Behilkos Mekach Umemka. The Mocha Yisrael, that's it. So since Mos Kainos, so it means they won't mevatel the Kenyan. And this is not like, just for just those interested in the Achreinim, not like the Pnei Shu and Gittin. Ein Zayin Rabeis de Maschavuloi. So now let's go again. Ulam Shar Haponim Shekoinim Bohem Hakalkoyos. The other modes of kinyonim, which you can be koina kalkoyis with, kloimar shtar v'chazoko, hine somchu oisom l'ksuvim gamkein. They also had basis on psukim. Now, let's go slowly. Ulam shar haponim, again in plural, or drochim shekoinim bohem akakoyos v'zulosam, and other things that are like kakoyos, whatever. Kloimar shtar v'chazoko. Shtar v'chazoko the Ram quotes shtar and chazoko, he doesn't quote kesef. But that's odd. Every kesef is certainly koyin and kalkoyos. They won't mevatel anything. So, and it's the Chamafuish Gemara in Kedushin Chavav and Aleph. Bekesef menolon, Oma Chizkiya, Oma Kro, Sodois, Bakesef Yiknu. So you certainly couldn't be Kesef. So why does the Rama mention it? Kinyan Kesef, I think the answer is the Kinyan Kesef were metaltalin, and Kalka, the Ram held is one Kinyan. And once the Rama paskins that Mos is kindness metaltalin, and the Rambam already brought this kinyan, Kesef metaltalin, and that's what he adds over here. Because he mentioned Kesef, and now we know the Kesef metaltalin is also good for Kalka. But also in Kalka, there's Shtar and Chazoko. The problem only is that's a nice way of reading the Rambam, and everything is good. The question is, since we said the Kesef is koine midaraisa from the pasuk v'chisimku, so we're talking about Mos and Metaltlin. And then Kesef and Kalka is really a separate kinyan because the whole pasuk is only talking Metaltlin. And the you need separate sources for Kalkas out to say, hey, you need a separate pasuk also for Kinyan Kesef and Kalka. It's really not the same. The in Choshen Mishpat in Simon Kuf Sadi, there's a Sma and a Taz that disagree if the Kinyan Kesef and Kalka is a Maisa Kinyan like Shtar and Chazaka, which means that the Kinyan is Chal through the Sinas Shavaputa, or no, the Kinyan is Piron, and you have to pay everything. If you say that the Kinyan Kalka is Chal through the Sinas Shavaputa, it's very difficult to say what the Ram seems to say over here, that the Kinyan Kesef and Kalka Metalton is one Kinyan. And l'chera, you certainly anyway, under all circumstances, we know that according to Reish Lakish, there is a separate source for Kinyan Mos, Kinyan Kesef and Kalka, because l'chera, he has no Kinyan Kesef and Metaltalin. And according to him, l'chera Kesef is Kinyan Miyuchat and Kalka. So I'm saying Rabbi Yochanan is different, and it's not case. So this you have to work on. Now, here comes a very interesting thing. Let's read the sentence again. Hine samchu oisam leksuvim gam came. But let's read it before because it's out of context. Vulam shara podim shekoinim behen hakakoyis v'zulasam. The other methods that you are cleaner kalkoyis, like which are kloima shtar v'chazaka. Hine samchu oisam leksuvim gam came. So here, just before we get into Lomdis, there's an amazing problem over here because a priori, The word samchu means something which is not real. It says samchu, smach, like a smachta bi'alma. Oisam l'ksuvim. So, if it's only an asmachta, why would the Rambam be telling us what is the purpose of this? And second of all, if you read the pasuk Gam Kain, isn't the word Gam Kain like an equation? The same way that we have a smach in ksuvim for king and kesef or king and meshicha, we also have a smach in ksuvim for the king and shtar and chazaka. Otherwise, the Gam Kain is completely out of place. So you understand yourself that the word samchu, if there is an equation, is completely out of context. Okay. So that is the question. Okay. So I think let's start like this. First, let me tell you something of this word samchu. Then we'll see how far we get. Okay? This word it's the same whether it's samchu, the way Ibn Tibon learns it, and Ibn Iyov, kva samchum l'ksuvim acherim, and kapach, kva his michu, gam oisam l'psukim. The word in Arabic, and here I started doing a little research, and I'll show you what I came up with. Okay. And this will just give you an idea of how important, you see, Arabic is certain languages are very rich in vocabulary words. English is a very rich language because it's really a conglomerate of many different languages. Arabic is also, and I'm not sure, I have no idea. That's not my in linguistics whether Arabic is a conglomerate of other languages or not, but it has a wealth of different words with the little nuances of meaning. So there's a word that the Ram uses over here for samchu is asdenusa. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. In the Arabic, okay? When the Rambam uses this, usually when the Rambam uses this word, he doesn't use it when it's an asmachta ba'alma, but he uses it when there's some clear mandate in the pasuk for this approach. And I think the first, and I'm going to tell you the first one, the first proof, which is the most telling, and then I'll go through a few other, okay? The Rambam uses this word in the Akdama to the Pirush Mishnayos, and in a very important and interesting way. The Rambam is trying to differentiate between a Pirush Makubal and a Halacha L'Mush Sinai. And he says that a Halacha L'Mush Sinai is pure, unadulterated Torah Sheba'al Peh. That which you have an anchor in a mikra is asmach the ba'alma. Is eretz shekol mineim shurim, it's chita seira, whatever. It's that's asmach the ba'alma. It's not real. It's only an illusion. And Chazal just say, you should have something to think about. However, a pirush makubal which is pshat in posuk, there's some real mandate for it. And there he uses this word, asandusa. So that tells you that I'm on the right track and there's something serious in the meaning of this word. That's the first case, okay? So, what we've seen over here is we've denied the possibility that this asmachta should be asmachta ba'alma. Then, there's a pirush, a mishnayis in Chala, Perik Aleph, Mishnah Aleph, that you can learn the Chamish Zaminim from a Pasuk Yeshaya, Chav Ches, and it's pretty clear in that Pasuk what we're trying to learn, okay? But, the L'cheira, these are Dreisedin. The Pirush Mishnah in Yuma, Perik Ches Mishnah Aleph, that you can learn the Kabbalah, that the Chamish Inuyim from Psukim, and the Psukim are not Asmachta Be'almo, but Astenusa. Fourth case, Pirush Mishnayis in Menachos, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Vov. There is a whole list in the Mishnayis, like Shnei Seirim of Yom Kippur, Ma'akvin Zeh. There's a whole list of things that are Ma'akvin Zeh. And the remes of the Kabbalah, what is Ma'akvin Zeh, is also used for this word. The fifth case, and there are probably more and more, I just stopped there, is the Rambam in Minyan HaMitzvos. And Aseh, he uses this word twice in Sefer Mitzvas. Once over here in Mitzvah Aseh, and once in Mitzvah Aseh. And Aseh Chav Beis, he says that this is the source for the Kabbalah in the Sefer, that the Ashara of the Sachmoy Kesef V'Zov Aleim is the Isa Lihonos mit Tzipuy Avodah Zarah. Tzipuy Avodah Zarah, that's Pshat and Posik. It's a Pirush Makubal L'Cheira the Sachmoy Kesef V'Zov Aleim. So what you see over here, and this is very important, and we'll pick this up much more next week, that this Hine Samchu is not Stam and Asmachta Be'alma, but something real and serious. So then the words make a lot more sense. Hine Samchu Oisam of Kloima, Shtar V'Chazaka, Hine Samchu Oisam L'Ksuvim Gam Kain. And there's some type of equation between the Chisim Kumemka Namisecha, that there's a real limud, and that's either a Mishicha according to Reish Lakish or Mos according to Rabbi Yochanan. And here also for the Shtar and Chazaka it's Samchu and it's something real. And this is the Mon Kedushin in Chavavam and Aleph, Ubishtar Menolon, Ilem Mishum Dichsiv, V'Kosim Basei, V'Chosim Voed Eidim, V'Chulei. But that's the Ma'aser of the Pasuk which we learn from. That's the Ram says there. Ubachazok Menolon, O Machiski, O Makro, V'Shov Boreim, Asher Tafastem, B'ma Tafastem, B'Yeshiva. The verb Yishmol Tana, V'Yorashta Isa, V'Yashavta Bo, B'ma Yorashtem, Yeshiva. So it seems to be pretty clear that the psukim have a clear reference to something. We have to, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll pick up next week what is the limud.